If the man holding the whip is the exact same man holding the Bible, which God are you actually praying to? To truly experience tadabbur, deep, analytical reflection, we have to look at the genesis of the institutions we defend. In 1845, the Southern Baptist Convention was formed. It was not formed over a disagreement about baptism or the resurrection. It was formed specifically, intentionally, and legally to defend the institution of chattel slavery. They needed a theological justification to treat human beings as livestock. The most insidious weapon on the plantation was not iron. It was the Sunday sermon. The oppressor engaged in cosmic gaslighting. They weaponized the book of Genesis, fabricating the curse of Ham to convince millions of enslaved Africans that their suffering was actually the divine will of the Creator. They engineered a version of Christianity designed for total, unyielding submission. Think about the psychological horror of this. If an enslaved man tried to run, the church taught him that he wasn't just breaking the law, he was committing a sin against God. The African American church of today is a testament to immense spiritual resilience. They took the oppressor's book and flipped it into a theology of civil rights. But the friction remains. The architecture, the denomination, the English translation, these are inherited scars. How do you seek ultimate spiritual liberation using the exact theological manual written by your captor? The colonizer justified this spiritual violence with a massive foundational lie, the myth of the blank slate. The narrative that Africans were brought to the Americas as heathens, devoid of civilization, desperately needing the white man's religion to save their souls. History exposes this as an absolute fabrication. Up to 30% of the men and women dragged to the Americas in chains were Muslim. They were not blank slates. They were military commanders, imams, mathematicians, and scholars. They possessed a profound intellectual legacy. While the enslavers were passing laws making it a crime punishable by death for a black person to read English, hundreds of thousands of their captives already carried the uncorrupted Arabic Quran perfectly memorized in their chests. The oppressor didn't just steal their bodies, they executed a deliberate intellectual erasure. They beat the Arabic off their tongues to force-feed them the theology of the plantation. To understand the resilience required to survive this, we must look at Omar ibn Said. Omar was a brilliant, wealthy Islamic scholar from Fouta Toro, in modern-day Senegal. In 1807, he was captured, sold into slavery, and dragged to the Carolinas. His white captors realized he was highly educated, but they could not tolerate his Islamic identity. They subjected him to the ultimate colonial humiliation, forced assimilation. They handed Omar an Arabic translation of the Bible. They paraded him around high society as a tamed, defeated Christian convert. They ordered him to write Christian prayers and psalms for their amusement, framing him as a trophy of their religious supremacy. But the oppressor was arrogant, and arrogance breeds blindness. They couldn't read Arabic. They had no idea what Omar was actually writing right in front of their faces. Omar never converted. He engaged in a brilliant subversive act of intellectual warfare. When they ordered him to write the Lord's Prayer, Omar reached into the immaculate archive of his own memory. He didn't write the Bible, he wrote the Quran. Of all the 114 chapters in the Quran, Omar ibn Said specifically chose to write Surah Al-Mulk. This requires tafakkur. Why this specific chapter? Surah Al-Mulk translates to the dominion or the sovereignty. The opening verse declares, "Blessed is he in whose hand is dominion, and he is over all things competent." Imagine the profound cognitive dissonance of the slave master. The master stands there, holding a whip, holding the deed to Omar's physical body, believing he is a god of the plantation. And right beneath his nose, Omar is writing a declaration that destroys the master's entire universe. By writing Surah Al-Mulk, Omar was documenting a cosmic truth. You do not own me. Your authority is an illusion. True dominion belongs exclusively to Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth. You are nothing but a mortal man who will answer for your crimes. Omar was physically in chains, But his mind was emancipated. He stripped his captors of their godhood with a single stroke of a pen. That is the power of uncorrupted faith. This history forces us to ask a critical question. When Malcolm X embraced Islam, the media framed it as a radical adoption of a foreign religion. But when you look at the 30%, when you look at Omar ibn Said, you realize Malcolm wasn't finding a new religion. He was reclaiming a stolen legacy. He was crossing the hidden bridge back to the exact intellectual framework his ancestors were tortured for refusing to let go of. Colonization is a universal playbook. Whether indigenous to the Americas or stolen from the shores of West Africa, the empire violently erased our original spiritual frameworks to make room for their own. The Quran states clearly, La ikraha fid din. There is no compulsion in religion. Truth stands out clear from error. If you choose to remain in the Christian faith, let it be because you are fiercely emulating the revolutionary Jesus who defied an empire, not because you inherited the theological chains of the Southern Baptist plantation. But if you want to understand the faith that terrified the slave masters, the faith that kept Omar ibn Said unbroken in iron chains, the bridge is waiting for you. Islam is not an alien ideology. It is a return home. Emancipate your mind.